And number 1 versus number 6 starts off on the control map that everybody knows and loves.
Well, so many things occurred recently in regards to these maps that have been selected. I was shocked that the last game for ASU, the final map ended up being Circuit Royale, if I'm being totally transparent. For those of you that were hoping to catch those deets later, sorry to spoil that for you. They did end out their 5-game series on Circuit. I'd assume something like Dorado. No, they wanted to be on the Sniper's Playground. So we got to reel things back in, go back to the old reliable, and beginning things on Lijiang Tower. Seems fair, seems suiting. We'll have to see, though, if that's kind of a blessing in disguise or not for some of these players, because when you've been playing on it all day long, sometimes you try to shake things up how you shouldn't shake them up, and it does not work out in your favor. But looking at the compositions for both these squads, we've got the D.Va Juno comp. We've got, D.Va on one side, and then we're going to have the Zarya on the other. Best of luck to both these teams and these frontline tanks.
Here we go, 1 versus 6. The game is on, and the game's afoot for a spot in Texas. Anhu going on over to the Pharah first will take down Quaver. He will opt to go for the Zarya instead. Aurora's on the D.Va, so that does win the tanks quite at the very least. For the dive aspect, not really worth it here for CSU Long Beach. Just waiting and waiting for that perfect moment. Yes, you lose one early on, but is it long enough so that you can reset, try to get a touch on? No, Arizona State gets first flip onto the points. And J-Man with a coach gun shot onto input. Logic will help that out as well. This is just a little bit of poke damage here from Arizona State, but that's what you want from this kind of composition. Unless CSU Long Beach gets in your face, it's not going to work out. Arizona State off and running here.
I thought CSU was waiting for the opportunity to flip things back in their favor. You know, it's okay to give up the first control of the objective if your whole team's alive, but losing that Reaper, one of those paramount frontline characters, or just off-angle menaces, was devastational for them. And now they're going to lose their Zarya before the full fight has even begun, and we're too far into the enemy lines at this point to disengage safely. This is going to be dangerous territory. You might get staggered out a little bit. The dynamite lands. I do think that Genji, unfortunately, oh, nope, I was about to say it doesn't make it out, but he does. Now we're staring down the barrel of a Bob, as well as a rocket barrage coming from Arizona for this next fight. And they're disengaging, trying to get optimal spacing for these ults to come online for themselves.
Trying to find an optimal position, an optimal angle here. Arizona State's got some online. Long Beach looking for a few. Now we get to find out what happens here. Reaper falling also low. Over to Ray will pop out at the same time towards the edge of the map. Quaver's got J-Man down. It's a 1-for-1 trade, though. The bigger one is that the Juno's out even after the over to Ray. Aurora and Anhu are going to combine for 3 final blows. Quaver, though, still in the back line, is able to find Angelic, but then that would be a backup for right now. If you can reset, that'd be great. Quaver falls off the map just to reset with the rest of the team, though. And CSU Long Beach had a chance, but Arizona State slams the door in their face.
Arizona, I think, really only wanted to go in with the 2 initiating ultimates that they used, but then unfortunately losing their Ana, Silica had to drop the orbital ray. Now they're kind of at a disadvantage. There's a lot of ults about to come online for CSU, so we have to heavily rely on this Nano being well-timed to do a disgusting amount of damage in their favor. They're going to give it to Pharah, who is by and large one of the least oppressed characters here coming out for Arizona. It's great, but the issue is we're forced outside right now, so that Nano might be too little too late, and for not, as we lose Angelica as well as Silica. Our backline is now gone for ASU.
That also forces out the self-destruct from Aurora too, so Arizona State tried all their best to get the first 100%, but it will not be clean. CSU Long Beach having some advantages of their own coming up in this next fight. We'll find out where and when, if they decide to use it at all. As again, a little bit, maybe a little bit of a swap. Angelic moves on over to Lucio instead, try to get that speed pressure up to the middle line. Blade will come out, Blade finds nothing, Quaver's down immediately. And now it only comes up to the rest of the team. Arizona State gets to flip back in the meanwhile, as now the Graviton Surge will come out. That's a big one with one inside of it, but that's a Death Blossom killed away as J-Man takes that win. Quaver switched on over to the Tracer just as on point, and that's not even gonna matter. Overtime clock melts away. The Devils off and running. It's 1-0 to start Control Center.
Arizona was in such a disadvantaged state going into that final fight. I mean, they just swapped to the Lucio. There was no way there was a saving ultimate in sight when that Graviton Surge got lobbed at them. But J-Man from the long-distance safety zone, away from the grab in conjunction with that Reaper Death Blossom, absolutely demolished Input Logic's health bar. And it was phenomenal. CSU, they had 3 ults online. Arizona, nothing in the gas tank, and they still managed to come out on top of that one. And a little side note here, I do know that Arizona State, there is a composition that they're a little worried about running into today. And if it comes out from CSU, if we manage to get through Gardens and go to, say, Night Market, I'm going to be terrified for all of the Sun Devil squad.
Well, let's find out how terrified they're going to be when they know that some of this composition is swapped off. They pinged out the Brig at the very least, but again, no pressure coming to the far at all. Instead, this composition is looking to excuse the far from play and see if you can get around the team and put the pressure on with the Junker Queen instead. Trying to play into the small room here, but Arizona State doesn't want to play ball. They do not want to play inside of the small room. They've got a great separation. What a whip shot there from at least the Brig here for right now. They shot away Aurora, and that's going to give them at least first opportunity on the point. Far can't look into the window here. They may even get a pick for this, but instead, CSU Long Beach the first one on point.
I mean, CSU, they don't mind fighting in a small room. That's exactly where this JQ can find the optimal amount of sustain. The Brigida can get in some decent amount of cleave damage to get their aura online as well. But Arizona, with the Sigma, you're required to play a spammy, taking multiple angles, swinging together comp that does not go well against what they had. So Aurora swapping over to the Horse, bringing out the Battle Cattle. This should theoretically work, but the issue is the places of engagement here are much more difficult for this Pharah to find value, especially if Genji's going to go harass your Pharah off cooldown.
That's a great knife to hang on for right now. Dabbing Ninja gets the torpedo kills, and this is just going to start to melt away. They play in the small room. You don't want to be in there when the Junker Queen is ready to play, and it's just all the damage falling off. They're going to try to stagger out the Orisa with nobody falling. They do so, and CSU Long Beach getting another fight win. Can you get rid of the Pharah? No, escapes, but still CSU Long Beach halfway home.
The scary situation that we're seeing Arizona in is we have a failsafe of, you know, J-Man can use a grenade if Aurora can't land the spear onto JQ during massive cooldown moments, such as, you know, the axe coming through, looking for that cleave onto multiple members of ASU. But if either one of those don't fall, Bolt is just going to be having free reign, and that's exactly what's happening. We're not paying enough attention to this tank to prevent this JQ to do what she wants.
Oh, a little bit of a small room scuffle here. Blade's going to get popped out. That's right behind everybody. And this Blade might get a few more. Quaver's got one. Quaver slashes away for another, looking for another couple of swings. And the Genji finds three. 84-0. They'll use the barrage out of desperation to see if he get anything. But Quaver finds a fourth. It's a team kill for CSU LB. And they are excited. You see the nods away from Quaver, getting 4 out of 5 on the final blows. Rally comes up, over to Ray will come out as well. Aurora's on point though, this is a separated out fight, but it is a very lonesome Brig using their powers all the way through, but it's a good pulse bomb that lands onto Angelic. 4 for 2 trades. CSU Long Beach caps point. It's a clean 100-0, and the Beach tie it up in one apiece.
Quaver coming in with that blade is like, Nano, I don't even know her, showing why Genji in the right hands is an extremely powerful character. Plus coming back to point, getting a rocket barrage on top of your own gosh darn head, still having deflect and just standing there, taking it, finding the elimination was absolutely beautiful. Wouldn't be shocked if it's play of the game, but it might have been extended too long, so we may not see that rocket barrage. Now, I'm looking to see if there's any composition swaps. I mean, CSU Long Beach, they have a solid comp. It's working well. Likely Input Logic is going to swap over to something else after we teleport out of spawn. Same with Anhu. But I don't know if relying solely on Aurora, and I'm not trying to throw shit, I'm really trying to demonstrate the pressure we're putting on our tank to use the one cooldown to stop an entire ultimate is fair to our front line here. So that means our positioning from Arizona State needs to be drastically different than how you want to play solely because of JQ. If Rampage is online, you have to play very different.
Yeah, and right now this JQ getting very online, and the CSU Long Beach does not want to give them an inch of breathing room. They've already forced them out into the back line. Points unlocked already, but nobody's playing for the point. Instead, people are playing to see if we can get first pick opportunities. That's exactly what CSU Long Beach wants to do. However, now you have to bring on very, very low health. You have enough to get back. It's an overheated Orisa, so you get back to the rest of your team. CSU Long Beach stabilize, get their first play on the point. Now, who's going to win this first fight is the better question, because Arizona State still wants to push the envelope. 7% and rolling is try to make sure. What a knife from Boltaro landing right on top of Angelic, and Angelic just bleeds away. Pressure's on. Orisa wants to stave off the pressure, but you don't realize that there's still so much around you. Dabbing Ninja's able to take care of Honda, who trades out for Input Logic, however. Is it still going to be enough because they're going back and forth? But the problem is you keep going back and forth. You're not taking control of the point, and now you have just so much pressure on you that it's just going to be the Junker Queen running in and taking care of your entire back line.
And right in that moment when we saw that JQ hit the shout, go in, had the line of sight of 3 people and was looking for those 3 tasty targets, you actually saw them get moved around a lot by Aurora. That just goes to show that sometimes the bow cattle is not going to be enough. We do have this Terra Surge online in conjunction with the possible orbital array can be devastational, but then there's going to be Long Beach with their own orbital array as well as their own rally. They can throw in those two ultimates or just say, okay, the point is yours for now, and retake the point with their ults. It's going to come down to where they are used and where they're instigated. Looks like Dabbing Ninja is going to play a little bit further back, so orbital array not likely to happen as we've also lost input logic.
Rampage got absolutely stalked, and the Rampage gets stopped by the Spear of the Orisa, so they don't have that any longer. J-Man and Anhu will both find picks, and on either side, good discipline from CSU Long Beach to hold, but that was an insane Spear from Aurora.
I mean, I was talking about it, and Aurora
you were talking about. I mean, yeah, you called it. You called it.
They can do it, 100%. And I wasn't saying Aurora that, yeah, you weren't capable, but if that spear didn't land, things were gonna get real hairy. So thankfully you got it. Now you got to do it again, but you get a little bit more breathing room with Dabbing Ninja getting eliminated.
Oh my God!
Input Logic getting their head clicked by J-Man. We still have the bomb. We also have Orisa going in and looking to throw our JQ off the side of the map, but JQ says no, I'll take care of it myself.
Yeah, and basically, you know, J-Man was hitting insane shots earlier on as well. It was just an insane couple of headshots from the Widowmaker, and just a hit scan god in general is this J-Man from Arizona State. So they're hold on to positions for right now. Some ultimates still being left on board. As we will find out if Arizona State can keep this hold or CSU Long Beach want to push the envelope. And there will be the orbital ray. It'll be the Terra Surge out, but it might be too little, too late regardless. Terra Surge used around the corner. Not going to find anything. Blade from Quaver doesn't find a single thing. It may. It's going to find, well, the Genji 1v1 is kind of respectable here, but you're just kind of hiding around walls. Meanwhile, on side of the point, Genji now goes away, and it'll be the Orisa trying to touch point, trying to hold on to this point as long as possible, but speared away, knocked away, and it'll be a flip back to CSU Long Beach in what could be final fight territory.
All right, CSU Long Beach, they have this Pulse Bomb online, which we saw earlier, annihilated a backline. They also have Rally, great sustain. They're coming up on the Rampage as well. Will it get stopped in his tracks by Aurora once again? I don't know, but J-Man coming up on the Bob, and then Angelic also has the Rally in response. We're gonna throw Bob into the point, try to pull some attention, goes through the enemy hyper rings, does not make it all the way in, but we have that Rally coming on, trying to keep people off this objective. It's 99, and
that's it.
CSU Long Beach keeps them off the point. CSU Long Beach will be our victors.
We go to Suravasa here, where things can get a little bit dicey, and it did earlier on for CSU Long Beach, because I believe they won that 3-2 earlier in their 3-0 match against UCLA, so things are going to get dicey here for both teams.
All right, so the one thing I want to point out that I'm pretty sure most of our viewership does know is that JQ, Jotes, a variation of Jotes, is very powerful and dominant on Siravasa. So for this to be a pick for ASU, that's a bold statement. Are we going to go toe-to-toe with the JQ? Do we have a plan to circumvent the JQ front line that comes in? Because there's so much sustain that comes from that. A good axe can basically give a JQ back her entire health pool. Well-timed shout will turn an attack on its head, making you think you could have eliminated the JQ, but unfortunately now her health is full. So I'm curious to see what the plan of attack is here. Right now, it looks identical to how our last map ended for both sides right now.
It all starts off with the first point on market side. Finally getting a chance to see both sides. Boltaro will stay on to the Junker Queen. Aurora will stick onto the Orisa. Didn't work out last time on Lijiang Tower. See if Arizona State has a different strategy for what's coming up. J-Man, though, from a long-range distance, is able to find input logic that's traded out for the Genji. Don't want a 1v1. So now with first point, again, the pressure's just on. CSU Long Beach almost has priority on this point here, but Zilla taking care of Dabbing Ninja is a big chunk of healing gone, and so Arizona State is going to get priority, and Arizona State will get first flip if everything goes well here. Whip shot up to Boltaro, and this Genji has no chance of playing this point. Runs away to the team. Sun Devils off at first.
All right, I gotta point out what Aurora just did to Boltaro, and that was recognizing the amount of sustain, how Boltaro has those abilities that lean into helping out my squad, keeping their health pools healthy, and the execution of the spear spin, and just keeping Boltaro out of range of their team so he could not use those cooldowns to assist his teammates, only to save himself. That was well executed. Now, was it red? We're taking out J-Man first, someone who took down multiple members of Long Beach, and Angelic to fall. Still get a fall. Just 2 players left standing.
That's Quaver for you right there. Quaver and Input Logic doing some work on the pair up. They'll get behind, and now 53%, or 55%, excuse me, is where they will land up before flipping back to point. So this is all back and forth here. Remember, Arizona State on the back foot here. They're the ones to pick this map, but so far, Long Beach looking like they can pair up with them, and that's truly because that CSU Long Beach going in with a lot of confidence here, but ultimate-wise right now, maybe not pairing up all too much on different ends of the floor. So let's find out if Arizona State can bring this back, because they started off well in the very first fight, and the next fight after that kind of just fell away, even if both were dry fights. So the patience here from CSU Long Beach, they want to make sure that Arizona State's the one to force the fight first, and then they can push in right after that. Quaver's just sitting in the corner here, just getting 3 ult charges, just 3 shurikens onto the Orisa. They finally spot out the Genji. Well, I already have a recall Input Logic, having to recall to the rest of the health here. Now you're going to have the Terror Surge. Terror Surge gets 2 inside of it. The rally enough. Yes, the rally's enough to save the team. Quaver and Boltaro in the back line, though, is able to find 1 in the splash. DPS finds 3 total. Aurora's the only one to get another one. CSU Long Beach get the team white, and the Beach are off and running. They're getting the market first.
The tragedy of what just occurred was Aurora has done such a great job using those cooldowns at the right moments, but after you pointed out, Quaver was just kind of vibing and getting ult charged for free, and Quaver dashed out. For some reason, we hit the hyper ring, and we felt the necessity to use our spear spin and take space with it when we could have just walked forward. And as soon as that spear spin was down, that was Long Beach's go button. And that's exactly what they're looking to do, is take down some of those quintessential cooldowns from Aurora. Either spear spin, sometimes spear if we're looking for Boltaro to use ult, or it's going to be the fortify. Obviously, we need to be aware of it as we're hitting both our support ults and the Genji blade. We still lose Angelic in the moment for Arizona.
Might not matter too much anyway, since they do have both of the supports regardless. They get rid of the bigger one with the Juno. J-Man switches on over to the Cassidy instead to try to see if you can stave off this pressure, which is that nade, and that's exactly what happens. J-Man gets the nade on the Quaver, but this is still a scrappy fight. Input Logic's able to get rid of J-Man, and Input Logic trying to find that last dash away. It's a 1v1, but who wins this, the Orisa or the Tracer that's constantly going at each other? Arizona State, their spear almost taking Input Logic off the map. Good thing you had a recall to reset everything. They'll still try to play this out in an elongated fight. There's the stick. Is it enough? No. Fortify was up, so the Fortify still stands. However, Input Logic taking down Angelic is big. That backline pressure is so immense. CSU Long Beach flips the point in the meanwhile, and Input Logic staying alive and doing work. The Tracer putting on a show here as Arizona State backs off.
Tracer is one of the DPS characters that I feel like has a very easy kit to understand up the gate, but honestly, played at the top tier is one of those incredible things to look at because you are able to pull so much attention, you add so much value. Plus Pulse Bomb, if there's nothing like a Suzu to protect the team, well, you stick it, well, you can guarantee at least 1 kill. Now, I'm looking at J-Man, who has the opportunity to stop Boltaro's ultimate. I think it cut off 1, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to find an elimination.
It might be, because Aurora was the one to stop it, but it didn't reach the rest of the team. On who's still, though, within the range of the Junker Queen in general. That's going to allow Quaver to get the rest. Quaver on 1 slash, gets 2 kills. Boltaro on hashtag are able to find the rest, and it's 77%. Is it worth it for ASU to touch this, though, Artie? I don't know if you have enough time.
At this point, no. I think you need to start making your rotation towards one of the other objectives. We're going to have to use cooldowns to close this distance, which will put CSU Long Beach at an advantage. They do have Pulse Bomb, and they're only about 65% to Orbital Ray at this point in time, but Arizona State honestly needs to post up and then post in front of this next objective. They need to get in the way of Long Beach, make them use cooldowns in order to take that space, and then disengage and re-engage with their ultimates online, because they'll have 3 to the maybe 2 that CSU Long Beach will have in their favor. They just have to play the cooldown game properly and make sure that our Orisa is not forced to use theirs too early. We do have Brigitte kind of waiting over on the sideline, helping out Anu with this Tracer duel, and it looks like Aurora might be safe. Yeah, we're hitting the hyper ring. J-Man walking forward. They're trying to claim the space, and they're going to box out Boltaro, who's going to be eliminated. That should be a point lockdown going in favor of Arizona State.
One of the first fights that we've seen here that Arizona State played that well. You said it yourself, boxing out with the Deadeye, and then you separate out Boltaro from the rest of the team, so that's a fight win. It's a good fight win, too. You really desperately needed that fight. So now you got a few elements coming up on line 2, and this is going to be a really messy fight, Artie.
one of these teams thrives on that chaos. I think that's CSU Long Beach because of the amount of sustain that comes through between Brigida as well as the JQ. But to that, I also say we have Orbital Ray in conjunction with the Terra Surge. It's not worked out perfectly in the past, but it might work this time. We could just swap out Orbital Ray for Pulse Bomb as well, because we know Pulse Bomb is that stational. As we see the Orbital Ray drop off both sides, there comes in the Terra Surge. No one eliminated just yet, but it's Dabbing Ninja to be the first to fall. Hat also falling. J-Man, Silica, bodies are hitting the floor left and right with Angelica falling. This looks like CSU Long Beach should be able to lock down this objective.
Well, Taro's go button is always going to be the Orbital Ray. Once that comes out, it is just an entire massive wipe. CSU Long Beach, yes, will put the point back in their favor, but Boltaro, what a play. That was 2 kills on the Rampage Bleed alone. That's an insane feat, and now Arizona State used everything they had. So did CSU Long Beach. That shows you how desperate they want it. Every single fight matters. Every single play matters. We'll see how Arizona State responds to this. CSU Long Beach holding on to the point for right now, trying to get their position correctly. There's going to be the hinder for right now. The blade's out. Everybody separated out, but Input Logic's in the back line, trying to get rid of J-Man. Quaver's got the blade away, and Quaver's going to find at least one. The Juno's in a whole lot of trouble to the rest of the team. Juno just back onto the point here. This is desperation situation, Artie. It's reset or nothing now.
We saw Angelic on Control Center swap to the Lucio. I think at this point in time it might be advantageous to do that exact same thing. The Brigida, while I understand why you have it, I mean, you've got Genji, Tracer, both, you gotta cope with both of them, but the Lucio speed might be necessary here to make sure we make it in on time and just give someone, maybe Anhu, the path, the opportunity to get
the stick! The combat roll. Combat roll goes away though.
We survived!
Yeah, combat roll sticks away though. It doesn't really matter, it's 3 kills anyways. CSU Long Beach, they're getting all the picks that they want, and now it's just falling away here. Overtime clock is just in desperation mode. Anhu is there. It's gonna wipe, and the number 6 seed, the underdogs, are only 1 map away from the upset and the trip to Texas.
Curious as to what the starting compositions are going to be for both of these squads. I have a hunch of what we might see, but I do not anticipate, unless there is a plan of attack coming out from Long Beach as to how we're going to claim specific high grounds here on their attacking phase. I don't think JQ will be there with them on attack. On defense, I can see it because you can basically flip the point and start on the high grounds and then drop to low ground when you're on defense and tell the enemy team, hey, come here, and play inside of the buildings to your advantage, which should allow you to circulate your cooldowns enough that you'll be able to live and play into the sustain that your composition presents. On attack, I don't really know if it's that viable. We'll have to wait and see. For now, they get to start on defense. Like I said, I foresee the JQ. Now, the Orisa is where I get a little bit concerned that we've seen coming from ASU. And yeah, I'm getting the Winston. This is what I anticipated at the minimum was going to be Winston frontlining from Arizona. Seeing it from Long Beach, also liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously for Arizona State, having to play the Winston, you think maybe they could have played a little bit more dive-centric, or maybe like a Escort was still on the board, so maybe a Gibraltar instead. But no, they go for the Paraíso, maybe trying to dive in onto that backline, and Winston is one of Aurora's best characters. In fact, for Arizona State, this is one of the heroes to expect here for Aurora to play in this case. But Quaver getting 2 there, especially one of the 6 buff, is really good for you. However, it does favor the attacking side, at least for the spawn rooms, and Anhu getting 2 is an even better thing because CSU Long Beach having to come from a little bit far away now, just trying to, you know, tick down this Tracer a little bit. You know where the supports are, but you're just trying to make sure that this Tracer is not so much of a problem. It's going to be the Winston diving into the backline here. They may be able to even get first pick off of that very first 2 picks, which they do. The question is, do they get the rest? Because the rest of the team starts to reset here, and Arizona State looking to claim some space up on this point, making sure that CSU Long Beach can't really poke their way out, can't really force their way out for the Winston on either side. What a big bionade, by the way, from Dabbing Ninja, who gets it onto 3, but it's still not going to be enough. And with 2:50 on the clock, trade fights usually go in the hands of the favor of the attacking team. Arizona State very comfortable with the situation right now.
And we've actually managed to chase off Boltaro, drop down the shield bubble onto the point. We have 1 final elimination onto Quaver from J-Man. I mean, as soon as Boltaro decided to get out of dodge, I'm pretty sure Quaver also knew that their time had come. There was no choice but to get themselves eliminated. There was a chance you could go off coastline and try to make your way over to Mega Pack and make it out, but you'd have to wait for your cooldown. So with 4 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock, ASU will lock down this objective, and Boltaro is just looking to gather information for their squad. They missed the jump and they might get punished for it. They do.
Yeah, it's not good when a pulse bomb sticks in you and you don't have a primal rage to kind of take down that damage, but instead it will be a further advancing card here from Arizona State, which CSU Long Beach currently has no kind of primal, or I should say no prime objective here, because obviously they're getting hit from every single side. And Abeltar's going to go for the defensive, or rather going to try to counter the dive, especially with this D.Va. The D.Va does get Nanoboosted into the backline already on, who's got 2 in the meanwhile, but Voltaro and Input Logic trying to make the comeback, gets the pulse bomb to land on the Ana, and both supports are now down from this play, but Anhu and Angelic going to help save the day here. It's just the D.Va left as Arizona State continues to push.
Come on, Anhu, go get Toki. Take D.Va out of mech. Do not let this D.Va escape. I think the plan is exactly that. We go for the duplicate, but the rest of the squad is here. Winston's cutting off the heals, drops down that shield bubble, trying to make sure this D.Va does not have the support of their backline to sustain. Brig hits the rally. The focus beam from Quaver goes on to Angelic, and Input Logic will actually make sure that that elimination is
what a
good.
sticky nade.
Input Logic does fall to Silica. Quaver finds Silica, and Quaver also goes down to Anhu.
Trying to find that Echo. That Echo's very low on, who's able to find it, so that goes down. Final fight territory. And actually, no, I'm sorry, they capped the point in the meanwhile, so there is no last chance fight here. It is going to be Arizona State capping it. So with 4:45 on the clock, they have a chance to complete this entire map. Wow, I didn't think they got that flip.
I mentioned it during Gibby the other day, and that was these tracers know their job. Input Logic is trying to create disruption on the back line to prevent the tanks from preventing Aurora from getting assistance. But then J-Man is like, oh, I'm sorry, supports. I have a job, and it's babysitting this thing, and it's pointing right at the objective. That payload has been moving consistently outside in that street space. We lose on to Input Logic immediately off the rip as this fight starts, but Aurora is undeterred and pushes forward nonetheless.
They're just sticking it out. They lose one, it doesn't really matter. Arizona State still wants to try and fight this. They want to make sure that their pressure is well known. Voltaro ending up taking down Scylla, but this D.Va stuck outside, has the self-destruct to get the D.Va before that self-destruct happens. Yes, he can, as Angelic takes down Voltaro on the whip, and it will be Quaver getting the focus beam shot before Input Logic goes down, so it will be 3:44. But the way this is scrapping out right now, I don't know if CSU Long Beach has enough to keep playing this game.
This is the first time where this payload lost a level of momentum for Arizona, and that's the first time they were actually forced out of Lucio's, I guess we'll call it the DJ house. I don't remember the name of the actual building itself, but nonetheless, they backed off, they waited, and now they're coming back in full force. We see the hyper ring, but it's really far, so D.Va isn't able to push forward any more than this. We force out the Tracer recall, so it's a chance to reclaim the control of the payload. However, Arizona, no one got eliminated in this exchange. They're playing the tug of war with abilities very nicely, and they find Quaver. This is now the opportunity for them to claim back what they want, to control the payload and push further forward.
Oh, but they run right into Scylla. Scylla tried to sleep dart to no avail. Anhu and J-Man, though, are going to find their picks to trade on, and now hashtag bobbing the rally just to stay up at the same time for Anhu. They've got 2, but look at where this payload is. J-Man is just hiding secretly away. I think D.Va has noticed that there is going to be a little bit of a push here, but we're into the home stretch as it will be Anhu duplicating into the break and will get the rally off. But the rally does no more than just keep Anhu's duplicate up for a little bit longer. Now it's going to be a duplication on the other side. It'll be a Tracer that gets duplicated by Quaver. Orbital Ray comes down from Dabbing Ninja. It'll be the Nanoboost onto Angelic just to keep Angelic up for a little while longer. But Scylla also falling low himself. J-Man now's got the pulse bomb that lands right on top of Voltar before that can even happen. Arizona State looking to close things out here. Quaver's got Anhu, but it might not matter for much longer. Payload runs in the final 5 meters, and Quaver's nowhere near that payload just to take it down. Arizona State finds the fights they want. They go uno, dos, adios, completing the entire map on Paraíso. CSU Long Beach has some time, but they're going to need a few fights to do it.
Okay, so we had the duplicated Tracer up on the bridge, battling against the Brigitte and the Ana. But what I was noticing, and I had to just double check, I took a double take, and I was like, this is a raid boss. We had Nano and Rally going, so despite the pulse bomb landing, we basically dropped all of our resources onto the Brigitte, got the Inspire up, and saved Silica's life in that moment. Raid boss is so powerful, Tracer, I commend you for even trying to go up against that, but they pulled your attention, and J-Man was like, hey, I got the cart. And that's exactly what they wanted to have happen.
Yeah, and right now, as it stands for this team from Arizona State, this is the game plan here. They want to disrupt what the composition is. They want to pick maps that don't favor the Junker Queen, and so far, so good. They had a few fight wins, especially when it's very elongated, if you will. I think there was only one fight CSU Long Beach kind of had that was kind of long that they won. And otherwise, it was just Arizona State isolating out some pressure, even if Scylla is down, and they were unafraid, right? Even if you lose one, Scylla went down early. That doesn't mean you don't have a fight win either. You still have tickets to get in, and that's exactly what they did. So now we'll get to see what CSU Long Beach pulls out of the hat here, because obviously Junker Queen might maybe not be the best idea, especially trying to push on this map, but we'll see what they've decided to pull out. Maybe the Diva was the answer for a little while, but if it's going to be what we saw earlier on, I think Arizona State's got advantage here.
You have to have a very firm grasp on Diva's kit and be a phenomenal Diva player, I feel like, to play up against a Winston that has an Ana Brigida backline. And I just say that because of how well those three characters lend themselves together. And losing input logic to Anhu early already means that we've lost a level of protection for that backline. So that's going to make Diva's life even harder. Exactly as I'm talking about it, we see the Brigida ends up getting eliminated in that moment as well. Diva is just in that war of the dive tanks. 9 times out of 10, I feel like, in a harder situation than the Winston.
Yeah, and I almost feel like, too, that even if it's a counter dive situation for CSU Long Beach, Arizona State's handling pretty well. They've got their target cryos on and trying to make sure that they can establish some sort of base to get rid of the backline exactly like that. On who gets rid of hashtag, and there's no pressure on that Echo whatsoever. They're going to try to force the issue here as they touch the point for a little while, but the pressure backs off and input launching is spotted out. But that just means that it's a more of an advantageous position here for Arizona State. They don't have to get off the high ground if they don't want to, and especially even if they get back capped, they still got 3 ticks to go with a lonesome Tracer here. So now they're going to try to dive up. It'll be the Diva that tries to touch here for a little while. Quaver's got the big bump and the focus feed onto Angelic and Scylla, and if you want to get the backline, that's the way to do it. Quaver finds another, or rather, Boltaro finds another onto Anhu. They got the trade outs that they wanted. It took a little bit of time. It took 90 seconds, and Aurora's all the way back here, but it's still CSU Long Beach with advantage.
Ooh, look at that map knowledge coming through from Aurora. Recognizing there's a mega pack over here, is playing for it, grabs it. J-Man as well will steal it away from input logic as they go for this coastline duel. The recall scores first, and we have our Echo coming back in. Anhu off the respawn, gets the elimination on input logic. Diva is over on the coast, tries to fly away. I don't know if Toki will survive in that moment, but Boltaro falls, and the coffee goes away as well.
But it doesn't matter anyways. Anhu and Angelic, and Anhu escapes with their lives. Gets 2 on the picks of the trade-off. J-Man has to recall away. 2 minutes left to go. Half the time bank wasted. And now the question is, do they want to reset with their tank? Because obviously, with everything that just happened, you don't want to go into this fight just blind, and that's exactly what will happen. For Arizona State, though, getting a better advantageous position, everybody will go back into the higher ground, making CSU Long Beach get to them and not the other way around. Ultimates are online, hypering out. Let's see what they decide to use here. Great bio-nade, by the way, with Dabbing Ninjas in the air. Do you have enough damage to get rid of it? Yes, you do. J-Man and Anhu combined for a couple of kills there. That's on to Dabbing Ninja and Quaver, and already this is starting to look worse and worse here for CSU Long Beach on their attacking end, because they're not able to find any picks, even if they used a few ults to do it.
Honestly, when they selected this map, I was so glad that we got to see the Winston come out from Arizona State. Aurora is being an absolute powerhouse for their team, and I think Anhu and J-Man, we can't hear the comms, you can just assume that when J-Man gets someone lower, they force that essential cooldown. Anhu's like, where? And throws those sticky grenades in. J-Man recalls, gets the safety, has the pulse bomb almost ready to go, but Aurora will have an insane amount of sustain coming in with this Primal Rage. Anhu, same thing, can copy the Diva, copy the Brigida, get rally or get self-destruct. Just the opportunities here are immense for Arizona as we're ticking down underneath 1 minute here. Their prey, the sight was set on the Ana, unfortunately does get eliminated, but hashtag following suit and Dabbing Ninja. This fight favoring Arizona yet again. Yeah,
it's favoring the fight right now for Arizona State. They have the rally up. The rally, it's actually a rally from a duplicated break. That's going to be enough anyways. Angelic and J-Man combining for those early on picks is good. So now it's for CSU Long Beach. You're in final fight territory here, but you don't have a lot of time to work with regardless. So what's the plan? What's the plan, Long Beach? Because you don't have a lot of time to work with. It's 10 seconds left. Final fight territory for these teams. It'll be a kill on the back line of Aurora. This is why they wanted to snap. They wanted the Winston to work, and work it has, as they will get another pick. Hashtag does get the Soundwave kill onto Angelic, but it might not matter much here. They're trying for the upper. Somebody's got a touch, though. They finally do get the touch down below. Dabbing Ninja's trying to clutch this up on the Juno at the same time. They have the team running around. Both supports alive, but self-destruct comes out. Overtime clock almost melts it away, but they still have it. Aurora gets the Primal Rage up in time and is able to find Hashtag, able to find Boltaro, and Arizona State starting to clean up house. The Devils will not go down without a fight. They will force the issue here. There's one more tick left to go, though. If the Tracer left it all over, and the Devils are not done just yet. Arizona State brings it back for a map, and we go on to map number 4.
So we're going to Runasapi here, and with that, I was just like, wow, really? I know JQ's powerful on this map, but Winston is also so powerful. It's the lesser of two evils. Do you want to feel comfortable, but at the same time give them the opportunity to play into their own strengths because this is your strength as well? Or do you want to kind of make both squads a little bit less viable in their ideal compositions and choose a different map type, well, a different map for this map type by opting to go to Runasapi, wherein both of the squads are comfortable. This comes down to an absolute game of mistakes.
I actually also would like to believe that Aurora, I know we've only seen Aurora maybe on doing well on the Winston. Other than that, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Junker Queen either, because he told me that that was one of the 3 heroes to be expecting this weekend. And in fact, if that holds up, that might be a mirror match we're going to see here very, very soon. The difference is Quaver on the Genji and then Anhu on the Echo. And Anhu's Echo was doing work back on Paraiso. So this could very well be a game of inches, a very game of small mistakes here. And this first fight pretty much can determine it.
Oh, Aurora. I'm seeing what you're putting down, coming out on the JQ. The only variant here is Anhu opting to go with this Echo, which will lend itself to, you know, the rally copy or even the orbital ray copy. It just means that you gotta be a little bit more aware of where input logic is during these early fights.
Oh, that's a little too far up, Rig. You're trying to best away and bounce away everybody else, but the problem is that CSU Long Beach is going to go right into your face. It's going to be Anhu trying to get the focus beam out, and Aurora and Anhu combined for 3. However, it's still not going to be enough. It's going to be the JQ trying to find any picture and no support anywhere to be found. And can you get to the Mega Health? Back you do. So Aurora still wants to fight this, and Aurora's still got a chance at it. This Tracer wants no business whatsoever. Lands the knife. And Gracie, but is it going to be enough as the rest of the team starts to bring it back? Recall still available now. This Genji doesn't want any part of it either. They contest, and this fight, by all intents and purposes, already is still going.
That's the power of the JQ composition. Long fights, they're scrappy fights. You need to learn how to thrive in chaos. But what I think Arizona brings to the table here is Anhu with the sticky grenades in conjunction with that focus beam. J-Man, goal of the game here is force out input logic recall or maybe even deflag. And then it's a free-for-all, all-you-can-eat buffet for Anhu. Case in point, Dabbing Ninja goes down to those stickies, but Aurora didn't get enough tender love and care from their backline, ends up getting eliminated as we trade out our tank for Quaver as well.
Input logic gets one back though on the headshot, but it's still a scrappy fight either way. Anhu builds up to the duplication, will go up to the Junker Queen, so there's not only one you gotta worry about, it's a second one now that could build up a rampage, doesn't even need it regardless. They get the wipe, and is this finally the lead? Is that finally the reset here for both teams? Because that took 2 minutes to figure out.
I think copy is too strong. I'm not saying we need to nerf it. I think in this matchup, the variant, taking out the Genji, putting in Anhu with the Echo copy is huge.
Oh.
Yes, unfortunately, Anhu, I did just curse you and make you get eliminated by Quaver, who is arguably one of the most insane Genji players I have ever seen. But you've also lost Dabbing Ninja to J-Man. I think the copy just throws in an extra little bit of flavor no one can really compensate for.
Rampage from Aurora is huge, hits the rest of the team now, and J-Man and Aurora want to take advantage of it. There's 2 players that are there, and it's just going to be the Tracer recalling, making sure that this payload, or rather this robot doesn't push any further. J-Man though is able to find it. That's both of the DPS is down. Surely that's a reset for CSU Long Beach. Arizona State, I want to point out real quickly, they got University of Washington gave them 0 meters and they completed the distance. This time around, Arizona State wants a different story.
We're about to lock it down to get those forward spawns for Arizona State, and let's look at those ultimate economies on both sides. It's heavily favoring CSU Long Beach, but we've seen something similar, and that was back in the control point on Control Center, where we were down ult economies. We claimed absolute space, taking down both the supports for CSU Long Beach right now. Arizona, despite the lack of power from the ults, they hit the orbital ray. They're able to come out on top of this fight.
I don't know what it was, but Boltaro used the rampage, and it amounted to nothing. Not a single thing was hit. So I don't know what exactly happened for that, but it ends up being good for Arizona State, and now they're just advancing forward. They're getting these small picks here. Quaver thinks that there's an open window here and wants to try to slash away at it. Boltaro's got Aurora. Can you chase down the Juno? That answer's no. Silas bloodthirsty for a double kill, and now they're going to push up. And yet again, Arizona State gets another fight with the momentum and the snowball of push is draining CSU.
Aurora is taking the blunt force, I feel like, of a lot of the enemy team's damage and anger, while the rest of the Arizona squad is able to take off angles, pull it, not even attempt to pull attention anymore, but it's just able to do absolute damage to people that are too focused on Aurora in these moments and get them eliminated because they're not keeping their heads on a swivel. We're coming up on Anhu with this duplication online, but Long Beach, they have 2 ults, so Arizona is backing up, looking to force out cooldown, and waiting for the opportunity to hit that ultimate. But seeing the orbital ray come down, this might be a time to just die and get out if you're Arizona.
Yeah, Anhu did use the duplication, but CSU Long Beach using a lot more there. That's 2 ults on the pulse bomb and the orbital ray, so they do get the fight win, but it costed them a lot, and it's a lot of distance to cover. It's 105 meters to cover. That is not easy. Artie, I would say that's maybe at least that would be at least 4 fights to cover it.
I think we could probably do it in 3 based off how long these fights are lasting, if you can keep it in front of the objective, but that comes down to, are you willing to let someone be the TS1 babysitter in these moments and take these fights down 1 player? That means you have to take them early, but unfortunately we're letting Arizona come to the objective. We're forced to use amp speed. We do have this beat to help us sustain through this fight. Looking at hashtag currently, no one is dangerously low just yet. No ults have been hit as we take down Anhu. This means that Long Beach has the advantage. They're able to push forward. They force out that recall from the Tracer as well as predicted. Quaver comes in, and with the help of hashtag finds J-Man, this fight going to Long Beach.
I know you didn't hear this, but this entire room just gasped at what Quaver just did to J-Man. Holy cow, what a combo. The shuriken into the dash, into the melee. Oh my goodness, that was insane. CSU Long Beach will cap the checkpoint here with 4 minutes to go. The snowball is starting to melt here for Arizona State. Yes, they get the checkpoint here for CSU Long Beach. Like I said, the way these fights are going, I mean, 54 meters doesn't seem like a lot now, especially if CSU Long Beach can keep these sustained fights going and end up on the right side of them. But now we're going to get the Rampage up. The Rampage hits 3. Is it going to be good enough? No, the ball spawn's out. Ball spawn lands on the Boltaro, who goes a little bit too far. Thanks to the Rampage. And now it's just the Brigida on the rally. Can the Brig stay alive? No, Angelic is gone. They're shouting away. The comms are telling them to try and reset back, but look at where the robot is. The robot's all the way back in mid. They're going to try to keep fighting this, but instead, that robot goes back. They have no more forward spawns. Anybody that falls here is all the way back, and so that's not a bad play here. They're going to try to keep moving it. But now it's just ultimates online, but that's not bad. J-Man actually did a great job there pushing it back.
What's interesting is that typically what occurs when you cap the objective is you fall back and you play from the your own high ground, and you let the defensive squad come forward a bit more, and your goal is to not use any ults in that fight that follows suit after you cap that point. But instead, Long Beach actually dedicated 2 ultimates into that fight. Actually, they also dedicated the beat. So it was a little concerning that they did that much, because now the ult economy heavily favors Arizona, so it's just letting Arizona take that fight and dump ults themselves.
Rampage is going to come out. Rampage only hits Boltaro. In the meanwhile, that might still be enough. Quaver had the blade. It amounts to nothing. It starts to just dry out as it's 3-1 in favor of them, and it'll be a team wipe. Arizona State is going to get maybe a little bit more distance on this, but the distance the robot has to travel might not matter, but still a team kill with 2.5. That feels like a good shot in the dark right now for Arizona State.
And they're going to be able to lock down that forward spawn. Now, are they going to opt to continue to push forward despite the high ground advantage going to CSU Long Beach, or are they going to disengage? They are. They're going to play around their own back high ground. There goes that orbital ray, and Aurora overstaying their welcome gets eliminated. And we also lose our back line very rapidly to Boltaro. And like I said, you want to let those ults come out from the defensive squad. They let orbital ray get used. Unfortunately, they couldn't eke out anything else, but still, that's a massive ult that we know Boltaro loves to use in conjunction with his own ultimate. Gone for CSU Long Beach.
Yeah, and that's a big one too, especially with only 2 minutes on the clock here. You don't have a lot of time to build it up. Ultimate use, I would love to see what that ultimate use number is right now, because I know with some of these elongated fights, we might get more than we saw last map on Paraíso. Instead, Dabbing Ninja is going to get the torpedoes onto J-Man, and that might start to spell a good fight win here for CSU Long Beach. Also, in the meanwhile, while they're in mid, that robot's being pushed all over. Aurora gets one onto Dabbing Ninja, which might be good enough here, but the way this is staggering out right now, if you can stagger on this Junker Queen, you've got a good fight win on your hands, and especially if this robot's going to get pushed a little bit further, they get the Queen down. That's a stagger, and that could very well be CSU Long Beach closing the gap.
They have to make up for half of the distance all the way to that final objective, but they have unfortunately lost hashtag their Lucio, the speed, one of those very toolkitty types of characters early to Anhu. And now the rest of Arizona State recognizing this goes forward. We land the pulse bomb on the Boltaro, and we've got sub 1 minute to make up half of the entire objective space we need to push, but the worst part is now Arizona has claimed the space. We're sending us back to the longer spawns. We're crossing that halfway objective point now here on Runa Sapi with 42 seconds left. This is an insanely Herculean task for CSU Long Beach to overcome, but they have Beat, they have Blade, they have Rampage. If they time these right, they can pull this all in their favor and win the next 2 fights and lock this map down.
Rampage is going to come out. That hits Scylla, but it doesn't hit anything else. On who's going to duplicate into the Junker Queen instead, maybe to get a second Rampage at the same time. Boltaro and Quaver may save this though. Aurora's down, Scylla's down. Angelic does have the rally to use it. Does Angelic want to make this last fight? Not just yet. On who, though, is out of duplication. Boltaro gets it. Arizona State playing a little bit of discipline. Angelic has the rally, doesn't decide to use it instead. Falls to reset with the rest of the team. We're not done yet.
Pulse Bomb, Orbital Ray, Blade coming online for Long Beach. So let's look at Arizona. We've got that rally, we've got the Rampage, and we're coming up an Orbital Ray ourselves. But the scary thing is that we are in the advantage state for CSU Long Beach, despite the ult economy looking so equal. They're the ones who are closer to the end-all be-all objective. However, Arizona, if you can force them back, J-Man taking that input on opening the floodgates here for Arizona.
They've got the Rampage out. That gets at least 2 on. Blade's got to do a miracle here. Quaver's found Angelic, but isn't going to find any more. And Mike, Quaver's found a second. And this could be the comeback that CSU Long Beach want. Overtime, it will be the orbital ray that comes out from Scylla. J-Man finds Dabbing Ninja and hashtag, and that will melt away. The Genji doesn't touch. And the 2 words Arizona State wanted to hear in this series, map 5.
That type of creativity is what a map like this brings out of players. It's almost like out of spite. Some teams refuse to play Widowmaker here and will not, because they're just like, it's not worth it. Let's play into our own strengths. Let's make this work to our advantage. And so, while yes, we'll likely see a Widow, there's still the odd chance of something creative coming out.
Yeah, especially with the map changes that have been coming out recently, right? Maybe a little bit more defender-sided, if you will, defense-sided help or attack-sided help too in some parts, but okay, this is going to be interesting here for Arizona State. In the meanwhile, again, reverse it, the storyline right now that you are watching is either upset from CSU Long Beach or Arizona State gets a reverse sweep. Both of these teams have one. Arizona State can look for a second, and that second one would give them the trophy. So welcome one and all to map number 5, and they already trapped the Genji in with the Mei. But the Genji escapes thanks to a lot of damage that was poured out. It is going to be the Reaper and the Mei combination here, and it is CSU Long Beach that wants to hold them close. Defending side of CSU LB, Arizona State on your attacking side. J-Man on the Widowmaker. If J-Man finds one pick, that opens up the door. And in fact, you've already got on over to the Pharah, and this Pharah is going to get untouched, and this Pharah is just going to rain down damage from above. Already a switch and already a pick on who finds hashtag. That's 1 support gone, and that's 1 tank left to go. It is CSU Long Beach that's going to have to kite and get the heck out.
And that Mei, who's in cryo freeze, it's Quaver, is going to get eliminated. I anticipate we'll see some swabs. Quaver likely going to go over to it, forced into a hit scan, but we tried for the small mini room hold for CSU Long Beach. Like I said, this map breeds ingenuity, creativity, but sometimes it just does not work. Anhu, unfortunately, was the sacrificial lamb for a moment, walked in the room with a mini, maybe was trying to scout something like this out, knowing that it was in the cards for CSU Long Beach, or just anticipating, hey, sometimes people hold here, gets eliminated, calls in for their team. The adjustments were made, and Anhu making the swap was huge. But Aurora already coming in with this Graphitic Clutch. Means Boltaro is getting sent back to spawn. J-Man gets traded out in that moment, but the front line is gone for CSULB.
CSULB already losing 2 of their players. Input logic on as well. It's a good rock from Aurora to hashtag. They'll get this point easily as well. It is going to be over 5 minutes. or right around 5 minutes, I should say, 4:53 on the clock to push the first to second point. Arizona State, after the last two maps, is looking like a completely different team, willing to flex a little bit, willing to change up their strategy, especially after Reaper may hold, and this is really good news for Arizona State.
Well, they did cap with an immense amount of time. We've got a brawl comp that once they get set up at a spot and are able to maintain it, it's very hard to break that hold. We are disengaging rapidly now, and we've taken out Stabbing Ninja, which is not great because now Bataro is left without maximum amount of healing, and we find hashtag input logic Quaver. You know, I was talking about it, and I was going to say once they get a foothold, they're good, but the return orbital ray lends itself more in favor of Arizona, as the Sigma is allowed to live in conjunction with Briggs standing on top of them, but the rest of the squad's just falling back and doing insane amounts of damage, i.e. Widowmaker one-tapping, I think, 3 people.
Arizona State looking a lot different than they did back on this map against the University of Washington. J-Man's hitting shots. J-Man's warmed up. Gets another headshot onto input logic. Gets a 2-for-1 trade. Angelic getting the whip shot on the hashtag. It's a Genji trying to guide, but a Genji not alive. It'll be just trying to get this Widowmaker any more picks. This Ramach falling also low. This Ramach is in a whole lot of dealing trouble. They want to touch the point one more time. Nemesis form is out. You have an ultimate to work with. Aurora does, and that is going to be the Grid Clutch up, but nothing doing there either. Logic has a death loss, but is it going to be enough though? It's back up 0.01 meters, 100th of a meter, but CSU Long Beach wants no part of it whatsoever. They get the pick, and it's 4:47 for the Sun Devils to travel 3 points.
Honestly, when we capped first, I thought the amount of time, you know, that 4-minute mark, I was like, here on Circuit, you can't always bet on that being, you know, a signifier of how well this second area is going to go because of that ill no. Arizona took that and they ate all of it. That was insane. Now they're coming in here with almost 5 minutes on the clock. My only concern is Aurora. I saw cooldowns get used that I think are very paramount into compensating for what input logic is about to do. But losing Quaver and input logic being this deep into the backline, yeah, it's going to hit the ult, but I think Arizona has already conceded this fight over in favor of CSU. Yeah,
maybe not just yet, though, because J-Man does get input logic during the Death Blossom, even if it gets one, but you're okay with this. You have plenty of time on the clock. You can reset. You can make sure that there's plenty of space for you to play with, and if J-Man gets a shot like that onto Dabbing Ninja, you're in for a very good push coming up. This payload's going to get around the next corner already on me. J-Man cannot be stopped.
J-Man is on an absolute rampage, and this is why I said that this map lends itself to Widowmaker players, and J-Man is demonstrating that, yeah, I play a lot of Tracer, but I also can play a very nasty Widowmaker. Is having to deal with both a Lucio and a Tracer now, because they've decided here on CSU Long Beach's side, J-Man can no longer be left to his own devices, which makes sense. You're having to dedicate double the resource, though, in facilitating your Tracer to take care of it, but with J-Man distracted, Hashtag comes in, finds the elimination. Anhu is trying to use this lifesteal to their advantage inside that orbital ray, is going to be forced to disengage, and Boltaro comes in, has this primal ray ready to go as well, and is finally forcing back Arizona State. The Sun Devils quickly making their way towards spawn. I don't know if this primal was fully necessary, but we're hitting it. We're finding the eliminations. We're sending them back to the spawn, claiming all this space back in our favor.
They claim all the space back, and they get the payload to back up just a little bit. Now Arizona State trying to rethink. Remember, they had over 4 minutes to think about this, to get their pieces together. Instead, CSU Long Beach has wasted half of that. Now we'll get to see some swaps. We'll see Arizona State pull out Aurora on the Junker Queen, which is so impressive on Pada Iso. We've seen the Tracer and Anhu, just the dive aspect, and Anhu's going to focus beam away hashtag. And this may start to get ugly. Malga swapped on over from Boltaro instead. A lot of composition swaps. Well, who's going to get the better of it? 2:19 on the clock. It'll be just the separation out with this Junker Queen sustaining for so long, staying for Boltaro. There's going to be the rally, and that rally is going to stun out Quaver, and Quaver's gone. But they return that out for J-Man as well, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. Payload reaches the home stretch. Rally's up for Angelic, and Rally's now gone. Who's going to get the better of the ultimate? So Angelic with a huge whip shot on Dabbing Ninja 2. It's going to be the Sound Barrier, but the Sound Barrier doesn't hit everybody. Input Logic gets hit, but it's way too much damage regardless. Anhu and Angelic find their picks. Is it still going to be enough? Blades in the back line. Quaver doesn't find anything. Boltaro may make the comeback, though, as Boltaro finds Angelic. That's a big chunk of healing down. It's just up to the Junker Queen. You do have a Juno alive for you, but it's still enough to keep this team alive as the It's just the amount of pressure. It's trade fights, but this always favors the defending side with how close the spawn points are. 135 left. Orbital Ray comes out now for Scylla. And now Scylla wants to dance and wants to tango hero. It'll be Quaver moving on over to the Venture instead. One of the heroes thought Quaver could see. And that'll be the Rampage. But the Rampage is canceled by the drill dash of Quaver. And now they may have just stopped them in their tracks. What a play and what a switch from CSULB.
This is one of the swaps I was concerned about from CSULB to compensate for what Arizona is bringing to the table. I mean, Aurora, you've shown us a very large breadth of tank hero pools, but I do know that you struggle with Mauga, and unfortunately, when it comes to Mauga on release and in the current state of the game, fighting fire with fire is one of the best things you can do, but if you can't fight the fire, take out all his fuel sources. First things first, we're fighting the Lucio. We're going to copy the Mauga. Anhu says, I got you, Aurora. I will be your front line. And we have Taro disengaging to the spawn to try and heal. We do lose our Juno, but Anhu is here. We have the double tank front line. It is Overwatch 1 all over again. Quaver is gone. The payload is nearly to that golden target space, but Anhu and Angelica have fallen. There's 30 seconds left on the point.
It's 30 seconds left on the point. Arizona State could not close out this last point against the University of Washington. There is 20 seconds left on this clock here. Arizona State could not find a way to close out shop against UW on this last point. They may be looking at a similar situation against CSU Long Beach here. Ultimate's online, but there is not a lot to work with. CSU Long Beach may have advantage on this as well, but Arizona State knows they have to touch. Angelic has to move on over from the brick to the Lucio instead. They want to go fast. Aurora goes on over to the Reinhardt instead. That's everybody inside of the sound barrier for CSU Long Beach. Input Logic with a pulse bomb as well. That sticks onto the Reinhardt. That's enough damage. The Reinhardt falls away. It's up to the rest of ASU to get there, but ASU starts to go away on their own devices. What was a good attack to start is now CSU Long Beach's win at the end of it. 2 points and 92 meters is what they get, and CSULB have just that much to go to take home the trophy and punch a ticket.
Okay, I need to throw in the realist moment here for ClutchKey. While he's all the hype, I gotta say, Arizona, that parking space is gosh close to that final objective. So, Long Beach, can you get it the rest of the way? Can you make it all the way there is basically what I'm asking right now. Because 92.05, yeah, basically you got all three objectives. The score just doesn't reflect it right now. And CSU Long Beach, they found the keystone piece, the thing that they needed to make adjustments for, and it was just a little bit more sustained. The Mauga in conjunction with the Venture, I mean, there is a lot of sustainability between the Shout, the Burrow coming out from the Venture, but the final tectonic shock was just absolutely earth-shattering and devastating, and that pulse bomb onto Aurora. But nonetheless, that swap came, I think, a little too late. Had we done it earlier at the beginning of the hotel phase, we might have held off Arizona a bit more, but now, on the offensive, we're opting to go for it. However, this is where things get interesting because the Sigma compositions here lend themselves to playing that spatial tug-of-war more than anything else. So, as soon as you see Boltaro hit the overrun, you disengage, you back off, and then you come forward, you wait for that shout, you use your absorption as Sigma, and then you hit the rock to prevent them from being able to do a little bit extra damage at the tail end of that shout, and you start pummeling and forcing them back, and you continue to play this tug-of-war and pray that your backline gets an elimination.
Well, pray as they might, both teams are praying here either for a stop if you're Arizona State, or a push through of a lifetime from CSU Long Beach, the number 6 seed on their attacking side, looking to take down the number 1. Can they do it? It's going to be the Mauga comp that they're running into. Arizona State's had a little bit of trouble against this before. Angelic gets the whip shot into Input Logic, so there's that pressure gone, but you still have the pressure of the Mauga to go. Angelic, though, trying to play hero, trying to play supportal combat, gets a second pick. Torpedoes are out. J-Man finds Swaver. It's a first hold for Arizona State.
Aurora, please don't let your hubris be your own undoing, being that far forward. But Taro, you can see that health bar just dangerously low, is gonna manage to survive over here, hanging out by the wall, not trying to push forward at sub. We'll say 10% health was smart, but now we've got all those cooldowns in our favor. Running up, taking the staircase, waiting for the hyper ring, goes forward, but here's the Maywall to lock down J-Man. We're trying to take away one of the powerhouses right now for Arizona State. This Widow has been a menace in the best way possible, but the worst way if you're on the receiving end of it. You see the hyper ring to allow us to swing this corner, but right now, Aurora comes in with the Graphitic Flux to try and get rid of this backline. There's all the gas tank for CSULB.
but is it going to be enough though? Gravitic Flux finds one. It's still not enough. That's a lot of damage pouring out from CSU Long Beach. They find 4 in the process, and they'll have 3 on the payload either way. That was a good fight from CSU Long Beach. They were able to stave off the pressure of Aurora. That's the only ult they used though. J-Man now moving on over to the Ashes, and any touches on the board, that is not good. May want to stave them off. An additional 2.5 coming for CSU LB. 4:43 now for them to push, and they want to keep playing this already.
Similar time bake to what we saw from Arizona. I'm looking at the ult economy though, and Quaver, that's the one I'm kind of scared of. The Blizzard, if it's not eaten, if people are not spread out, Arizona is going to be caught as sitting ducks in the water. Let's see what ends up happening with that. We do have hashtag with that beat. It's most likely going to be used to save their Maga from a bad situation if all the cooldowns are used, but I mean, the wherewithal from Portaro to disengage is huge. Unfortunately, Anhu manages to pick up both the supports, and then Aurora and J-Man come in and clean house there at the end. I think they anticipated that the rocket barrage was going to come in, but they thought about it too little too late.
Yeah, just a little bit too late. Quaver also getting pressured out though, and they're going to invest in the sound barrier here for CSU Long Beach. They're thinking there's an opening here that they want to play alongside. Instead, J-Man's going uncontested, gets the headshot onto input logic, and a sound barrier wasted away. So unless this is a swap out for CSU Long Beach, I don't know if that sound barrier was worth it.
I think the fear that came through was that moment is if we lose Quaver, it's a full fight reset. So they thought that the cooldowns that were utilized from Arizona would be enough to give Long Beach the advantage if they hit the beat and used it to be very forward. Unfortunately, there was just enough ults in the tank and enough cooldowns favoring Arizona to win that fight. Now we throw in the Bob. Quaver does have this Blizzard, ends up throwing it in, but I don't know if anyone was caught in it. It was Aurora, actually, and Dabbing Ninja's going to be traded out in return. We hit the cage fight. Brigitte is in rally, trying to stave off Taro, but I don't think you're going to do anything but buy yourself time. Never mind. Anhu and J-Man come in to help out their fellow teammate, and Angelic manages to survive.
Angelic managed to survive because of a rally. Angelic popped the rally to survive just to go back to the rest of the team and find the help and find the reinforcement. So Arizona State now melting away this clock. Remember, 4 minutes and 44 seconds we're on this, and CSU Long Beach have not been able to push through the door, but also look to your right of the screen where the payload is. That payload is still down the hill. You would need 2 good fights to work this one out. Gravitic Flux is up and onto the Winston that doesn't have a primal range to save. And Aurora's got the lift up, and Aurora's got the pick. That's 2 quick picks, and how about another one onto the Juno as well? You stagger out the Tracer, you will as well. It's another team wipe, and Arizona State's feeling good about the pressure.
We're coming up on another rocket barrage. We might have Orbital Ray ready to go and locked in by the time we're halfway into this next engagement between these 2 squads. But we've got Orbital Ray and Pulse Bomb for CSU Long Beach. Now, unfortunately, Orbital Ray isn't as powerful when you're not putting it on top of your tank, because your Winston's likely to dive in, which means your Juno has to as well. So let's see how it's used here in order to create an opportunity as we see the rocket barrage from very high up from Anhu being their own undoing. There goes the orbital ray, but we've disengaged from it, and so we're not able to utilize it entirely.
What do you want to see, right? What do you want to see out of Arizona State here? That would be the question, because they're being pressured out right now. They have an orbital race coming out, especially for Scylla. 136 now. Aurora's got the rock onto hashtag, and this is just them stuck inside of a corner that you cannot get out of. It's a box. You are trapped. It is a cave of damage from Arizona State. 1 minute and 25 seconds already. This clock has melted away so far down the line that CSU Long Beach have not found an answer yet.
CSU Long Beach is not without the opportunity to pull this back, though. If they can find an elimination onto, I say, possibly this Brigitte early on here, using that beat to go forward, facilitating Quiver. I mean, beat blade gap, we've seen it a lot, it works, but we have to do it before Aurora gets this Gravitic Flux online, because this is last fight with how far we have to walk to get to this payload. We have to find this elimination on the back line, but unfortunately, we lose input logic to Aurora early. We're engaging, we're jumping in, the blade is launched, but the beat does not land in time. It's Voltaro, Quaver, input logic, hashtag all gone, and it is just Dabbing Ninja who is being toyed with, finally getting eliminated. There's 36 seconds on the clock, and we have to rely solely on Voltaro's primal rage and maybe Dabbing Ninja with that orbital ray.
And Arizona State, a lot on the board. Arizona State, for those that don't know, won the West Regional last year on a 3-2 win over Boise State to punch their ticket into the dance. They're only 1 fight away from going back to the ballroom known as ESA. 10 seconds left to go on the clock. Fight goes on. Quaver's got the kill onto J-Man to start already. Is it still going to be enough? Primer Rage down from Boltar. Gravitic Flux is up. Nobody's on the point to work for it. Who's going to be looked at from Aurora? Aurora's going to lift up, and it's going to lift up the Judo, who's in a lot of trouble here on who's got another one as well. And the team starts to wipe up. Arizona State says the Devils in the details. Well, guess what? These Devils are in the dance. Welcome back, Arizona State. They are back-to-back West Regional champions, and one more time, they are the best in the West.
A big congratulations to Arizona State University on their victory, back-to-back defending West Regional champions and punching their ticket to CECC in Texas once more. Boys, that trophy is officially, as of this moment, yours. Let's get it up in the air. Let's make some noise for Arizona as they have emerged victorious once again. We've got the roster: Aurora, J-Man, Anhu, Angelic, and Scylla. You know them, you saw them, you love them. We don't need a backdrop. That's fine. We'll fix it in a minute. We've got to talk about the game. We've got to talk about the series and what we're going to be seeing. So, guys, first and foremost, huge congrats. Simple, but important to say. So going into that matchup, I told you guys this just a moment ago. You, this weekend, could have played 25 maps total. If you went 3-2 in every single one, you played 21. You were 4 maps short of going the entire way every single time. So my first question is, how do you do it? That's a lot of Overwatch. How do you play that long? How do you not get fatigued? And how do you keep winning? How do you keep that positive mental attitude when every fight is that close?
I think it's really important to take a break whenever you are experiencing any form of mental block or whatever it may be. It was a really rough meta for us. The patch had just come out, and we were just figuring it out on the fly. We weren't able to get much practice in before this, but as long as we trusted in each other and we talked about what we wanted to do, it all works out in the end.
Without a doubt, and work out it clearly does, right? Proof from the pudding on that one. You guys able to win not just last year, but this year, and 4 of you were able to make it to Texas. Scylla, you were not there last time, so I'll jump over to you, man. How does it feel? You've punched the ticket. You can join the team this year.
I mean, it's great. I'm happy that I get to play Atlanta. I haven't been playing the game a lot recently, so it's been fun to just be back into it.
Definitely. So going into Texas, right, you go from winning the regional, but we kick the door wide open, and it becomes not just the region, but the entire country. How are you guys going to be feeling? And the game, I'm sure, will change a lot. You guys are going to have a lot of time to practice and improve. How are you guys feeling just baseline going into Texas?
We're really excited. I think historically we have struggled to close out some of our games, but I think seeing us pull off such important results in such important moments gives us the confidence to beat whoever we face.
Absolutely. You know, there may have been the issue with closing at one point, but I did just watch 3 3-2s in a row. So while it does take a little while, you've gotten a heck of a lot better at closing. So I just want to give you guys the opportunity. Is there anybody you guys want to shout out? Anything you guys want to say before we wrap up this interview?
We want to shout out Z Panther, our flex support back home, always supporting us, and our coach Hydro for always, keeping us on the right track and talking through what we should and shouldn't be doing.
Beautiful, folks. Let's make some noise one more time for Arizona State University as they are your back-to-back defending West Regional champions.